Up next, we have Ms. Saranya Babu. Ms. Saranya Babu is in the high-tech industry for about 16 plus years. She built her business from the ground up and achieved an explosive growth. She started off as a software engineering intern around 18 years ago. Ms. Babu has evolved into an inspiration for many women entrepreneurs.
Her experiences from being the senior director at ChargePoint and the director of product marketing, FeTNA Corporation, helped manage a $150 million product portfolio and expanded it to 110 countries in just 2 years. She's here with us to share her knowledge.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். Can you hear me? Mic. Check. Can you hear me? At the பின்னால கேக்குதா எல்லாருக்கும்? இல்லையா? பின்னால கேக்குதா பேசுறது? Are you able to hear me? Good? Okay, cool. All right. அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். என்னை இங்கே அழைத்த FeTNA நிறுவனத்திற்கும் உறுப்பினர்களுக்கும் என்னுடைய நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். உங்களெல்லாம் இங்கே பார்க்குறதுக்கு எனக்கு ரொம்ப மகிழ்ச்சியாக இருக்குது. ஸோ தமிழில் ஒன்று சொல்லுவாங்க, ஆள் பாதி ஆடை பாதி அப்படின்னு. ஆள் எவ்வளோ முக்கியமோ அதே அளவு ஆடையும் முக்கியம். How you appear is as important as who you are. So the same concept applies to your business as well. What your product is and how you market a product is as important as what your product is. CB Insights analyzed 101 failed startups to uncover the top reasons why startups fail. Now this also applies to new businesses or new products that you may launch within large companies. What they found was, except for poor product, which was reason number 6, all of the top 5 and the top 10 reasons were all related to marketing or could have been prevented or avoided through marketing. And yet, marketing is the last thing that most founders think about, and it's almost always an afterthought. So when do you start with marketing? And most importantly, how do you start with marketing? And when do you start with marketing? Start from day one. Don't wait. நான் வந்து இங்கே வரும்போது இன்ஜினியராக தான் வந்தேன். கோடிங் பண்ணி தான் கட்டினேன். So when I was an engineer, I used to have a lot of these vadivelu moments when I dealt with executives. ரூம் போட்டு யோசிப்பாங்களோ அப்படின்னு தோணும். லைக் when I hear some of the decisions. இந்த எக்ஸிக்யூட்டிவ்ஸ்லாம் வந்து ரூம்குள்ளே உட்காந்துக்கிட்டு என்ன தான் பேசிக்கிறாங்க, எப்படி வந்து இந்த மாதிரி டிசிஷன்ஸ்லாம் வராங்க அப்படின்னு I used to always wonder. And so I switched to the business side to understand what's driving business decisions. So I made the 180-degree shift from product development to product marketing. The first 2 companies, I got awesome experience. I learned everything that you needed to learn to take products to the market. I learned the whole gamut of everything. Then I got a new job in the startup that hired me specifically for this experience because they wanted me to do the exact same thing and take them forward. So I was like super thrilled. I'm like thinking, I was like, kaiyala mudikita, I was like ready to go and just deploy all of my new skills. Idu oru chappa matter, right? It was going to be super easy, right? So first month into the job, I had what I call a major mokka moment, right? I realized that I could not use any of the skills that I'd learned because either they were not relevant to this specific business because every business is different, or I had to table some of that until some foundational pieces were built. So I had to start all over again from scratch, and I had to do the same thing at my next 2 startups as well. Right? So the first thing you want to think about is your high-level strategy. You want to build your strategy, and that starts with market research. Marketing is beyond just punchy copy and pretty design, right? It goes into the core of your business model, which needs to be built right from day one. So don't wait. You have to ask yourselves two questions. Do your customers feel the pain point that your product is going to solve day in and day out? Are they familiar with the type of solution that you're offering? Right? So you have to ask yourself these two questions. Now, in the scenario where your customers feel the pain point day in and day out and understand and are familiar with the type of solution that you're going to offer, then we're in a market that already exists. There are most likely existing players, established players, and I'm going to call this the Gmail scenario. Because when Gmail came in, the email market already existed with players like Yahoo Mail and Hotmail. So when you're in a Gmail type of scenario and you have a differentiated product that is either better, faster, cheaper, or is superior to the existing alternatives in some way, then you can play in this market and win. You want to deploy your first marketing dollars in product marketing. You want to understand the competitive landscape, and you want to build differentiated messaging and positioning and make it easy for your customers to make a purchase. In a crowded market in a crowded market, companies that guide their customers through this technology clutter and make it easy for them to make the purchasing decision are the ones that are going to win. Now, moving on to the second scenario. If your customers feel the pain point every single day, but are not familiar with the specific type of solution that you offer, right? Then we're in what I call the nest scenario. Your customers have accepted the status quo. They're not looking to switch from their old ways. Because when Nest arrived, people were already managing their energy consumption with manual thermostats, right? They had already resigned to what they had. Nobody was looking for or asking for a smart thermostat that learned how to adjust temperatures on its own, right? Nobody was looking for that. But every time people saw their electricity bill, they felt the pain. So the pain was understood, but they were not familiar with the specific solution. So in this type of scenario, how do you want to spend your marketing dollars? You want to go after those customer groups that feel your pain point the most. Articulate to them why their old way doesn't work and why they should invest the time and the energy to switch over to the new way of doing things. Consider word of mouth or referral incentives or partnerships with some known brands that can bundle your product along with their product. Because your customers are not familiar with the specific type of solution you offer, you may want to make it simple for them. You may want to make the message really simple for them. And one way to do it is to create a new category. You don't want your customers to think about your solution and try to fit it in the existing framework of the legacy solutions, because that's going to confuse them. So creating a new category is a very effective way to get them to start thinking in a new way. And then following that, you have to create some buzz to make your early adopters look cool. Right? You always have to create a coolness factor for your early adopters so they become champions, and then invest in your brand. Now, if your customers are not even feeling the need for your product, right? They don't even feel the need, they don't feel any pain, then we have what is called the iPhone scenario. Right? So in this case, you are creating a lifestyle change. And because your customers don't feel the need, you have to create the need. Your product is something that your customers cannot live without after they use it for some time. But how do you get them to use it? So your very first efforts have to be, you have to deploy your marketing efforts into creating the need in this particular scenario. So go after the technology enthusiasts and the early adopters and the innovators in this case. Go after them, do a high-touch approach to go acquire those people. You want them to use it so they can't live without it. And so observe your initial users, see what's making it sticky, and then capitalize on that. And following that, you can use the same strategies as used for the nest scenario, like creating a new category, brand building, and stuff like that. Consider using penetration strategies like offering maybe a product free for a year or bundling it in with another product that they already buy. Because your first goal is to really get them to use it and then not be able to live without it, and then be willing to pay the price to buy it, because without using it, there is no need. So your entire go-to-market strategy and your product development strategy really depends on whether you're in the Gmail scenario or the Nest scenario or the iPhone scenario or something in between. So once you nail the strategy, then everything builds from there. So don't build your product hastily before you do this initial crucial market research. Don't wait. Start from day one. The next thing to consider is pricing. Pick a selling model. You cannot afford to sell a $10 product with a sales team or sell a $1 million product without a sales team. There are some markets you can never reach without a channel. And so pick the right mix of the selling models for your product, and then do some systematic pricing research to uncover the true willingness to pay of your different customer segments. With prices, always start high. There is a temptation from most entrepreneurs to lower the prices, to start low because they want to acquire market share. It's harder to reduce prices once customers get used to a certain level of price, but it's harder to increase prices. It's easier to reduce prices through discounts. So always start high. Also, your price signifies the quality of your product. All else being same, customers believe that higher priced products are better quality products. And so you always want to start high. The next pitfall that most founders face is the temptation to imitate your market leading competitors. Right? Your competitors have created a game that builds upon their unique advantages, that they're positioned to win. So you don't want to play their game because you can never beat them at it. Even if you play really well, you'll never be seen as a leader. So you don't want to be in a situation, most of you would have heard, the kana mayil aadakanda vankori, right? You don't want to become like that. So create your own game, play it really well, own your game, and then nobody can beat you at it. Don't wait. Start from day one. The next consideration is really hiring. So you have to ask yourselves a few questions. Should you hire bottom up or should you hire top down? Should you hire full-time employees or contractors? Generalists or specialists? Builders or scalers? So in a startup, you want to hire people that share your vision, that share the same passion and the goals. And the best way to do it is to hire bottom up, with someone in the founding team being closely involved in every single hire until you reach a certain scale. If there's no marketing expertise in the founding team, consider hiring an expert CMO in a part-time advisor role by offering them equity if you don't have capital. They can come in and help you develop the strategy, coach you, hire the initial set of people and coach them and help you get jump-started with the whole thing. So when should you get the marketing expert in? From day one. Don't wait. A startup usually has two phases, right? The building phase and the scaling phase. Now in the building phase, you want to hire contractors because you have the flexibility to terminate the contract if things don't work, and you have the opportunity to observe them and figure out what you really need in this role when you hire a full-time role. Hire people, hire generalists who can come in and do many things really well. Because in a startup, you have a variety of things to be done at a lower scale, at a smaller scale. So hiring someone who is a specialist, who can only do one thing really well at a large scale and can't do other things is not really useful. Hire builders, so someone who has experience building things from ground up versus someone who has handed down a well-formed, mature function that they then took and scaled. When some of the marketing functions move from the building to the scaling phase, then you can hire full-time specialists that are scalers. The next thing is to really build a foundation. To start with building the first draft of your brand. And that includes your logo design, color palette, look and feel, initial basic messaging, and tone and voice. Have a well-defined brand from day one. Don't wait. Then develop your differentiated positioning. Do some research to build out your user and buyer personas. And for each of those personas, build out the customer journey map. Build a professional looking website, some basic stuff here. Build your initial marketing stack. There are a ton of tools out there that are built specifically for startups that provide a lot of value and are affordable. So once you build, and then build some basic assets for each of your customer personas to take them from stage N to N+1 in the journey. So once you build your basic assets, you want to now get them into the funnel and move them along the funnel, right? So that's where we kind of enter the scaling phase. So what type of campaigns should you build that would be most successful for your business? You can't really tell because you have no data. You're starting this for the first time. And so you have to experiment. Take an agile approach, create a variety of different campaigns, MVP campaigns. Don't focus too much on getting it perfect. Do some MVP campaigns and then launch them. Run them for some time so you can get some meaningful results. Analyze the results, and then based on the results, do one round of optimization, and then run them again. And at that point, some winners would start emerging. Then take those winners and move them from the experimentation phase to the operational phase. As a startup, you should always have, and even as a big company, you should always have anywhere from 20% to 50% of your campaigns in the experimentation phase. So why is the experimentation phase really important? Because that's the only way you can maintain your competitive edge and cut through the noise. An average customer is exposed to 5,000 brand messages every day. And it takes 3 to 5 exposures for someone to actually remember your brand. So how do you cut through all of this noise? You have to figure out new ways constantly figure out new ways to capture your customers' attention, because after some time they tend to tune out things the more as they get saturated. And the only way to figuring out new ways to capture their attention is to have this experimentation phase. But as a startup, it's tempting to deprioritize experimentation because you're always in a get things done type of mode. But not doing experimentation is going to cost you a lot of time and money through suboptimal investments, and that's not a good thing. So when should you start experimenting? From day one. Don't wait. So in closing, all right. So in closing, I want to leave you with this. Yenni tuniga karumam. Before you start anything, give it careful consideration. In a startup world, it translates to this. Do market research before you start your venture. Don't wait. Start from day one. Nandri, vanakkam. Thank you.